Let me turn that down. There we go. So we're so happy to have you with us today. We're doing Media Composer. We're covering ScriptSync. Sorry, I'm having all kind of audio issues, so I apologize for that. With that, we are going to go ahead and jump over to our presenter. We're so happy to have with us Marianne Post, who's one of our Avid Master Instructors. So she's going to be covering today's session. So really quickly, we'll go through the housekeeping items. As you know, the session is being recorded, and we will post these for playback later at avid.com. If you do have a question, go ahead and enter those in the question field if you're watching us on your Zoom account. If you're watching us on the social feeds, enter questions in there as well. I am trying to monitor as much as possible. So hopefully we can get to your questions with Marianne's session. So it looks like, Marianne, we've got people dialing in from all over today. We've got some in from the UK and Brazil, Colombia. Welcome, Colombia. We got some early risers there. We got someone from Hawaii. Welcome from Hawaii. Please send me your sunshine. I would love to have it. So Marianne, I know as always, you have so much to cover. So let's go ahead and hand it over to you.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. And as mentioned, I'm going to be covering ScriptSync, which is actually a small piece of the puzzle that I'm going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about setting up for script-based editing. So I'm going to jump right into the workflow. And if you have ScriptSync or not, everything that I'm about to show applies to you. So let me just share my screen. And as I share my screen, I'm going to hide Media Composer here. With ScriptSync, that's an automated option. And if you have Media Composer Ultimate or subscription license or perpetual license, you can buy it as an option, but it is included with Media Composer Ultimate. If you don't have it, no worries. You're going to see why you might want to get it. Or you'll see the workaround. So most of this applies to everybody. Step one, set up your script. So I do have a script that's properly formatted for Media Composer. It's in the text format. So you want plain text, vintage text, no formatting whatsoever. No Final Draft, no Microsoft Word, no PDFs, that kind of thing, no rich text, anything. So if you have a document, which I have, you'll want to convert it. So I'm just going to pop into Microsoft Word for a moment here. And this has some rich formatting. Basic rich formatting is just Helvetica. It's not going to work. So what I'm going to do is a save as. I'm just going to hit Shift Command S, Shift Control S on Windows, or File, Save As. And I'm going to change the file format to plain text. Okay. And that's all you do. And then you hit save. I'm going to save this to my desktop. And then I'm going to have some options. And we're going total vintage here. The most compatible that I've had essentially zero issues is if I go to MS-DOS, even here on the Mac, which I am on a Mac. And then you want to set up a couple of options. You definitely want to insert line breaks so that you don't end up with a script that's one line. Maybe with some wraparound, so it maintains the line break formatting. Allow character substitution, so if your script has accents, or transcript, by the way, so it's not just for narrative, this is also for transcripted interviews, reality TV, that kind of thing as well. And then end lines with CRLF, which is my default carriage returns, so that it's not everything piled on top of each other, and align feed. So this is actually is a throwback to typewriters. So when you do your carriage return, it takes it down to the next line on the paper before you start typing. So there you go. So here's your setup, and then you just click OK, and then quit out of Word or whatever program. You can do some conversion in like your text app that comes with your operating system as well. So we can see here's my .txt, and if I did everything right while talking, it'll be all in plain text, just like that. Left justified, and this is ready for Media Composer. So regardless if you have the ScriptSync option or not, that step is essential. Then I'm just going to tab over to Media Composer and import my script. I was doing some testing earlier, so I've got a bin open. To bring in my script and you to bring in yours, it's the File menu new, and new script. Now, if you don't like to dig through menus, which I don't, I'm not very good at it anymore, you want to map this to your keyboard. And you can bring in one script at a time. So if you are breaking it down by scenes, that kind of thing, interviews, you'll want to definitely map it to your keyboard so you can keep coming back and bring these in. So here's my script. I'm just going to double click it. And it auto opens into the right side of my bin container. And notice it actually looks very similar to my bin container. So I have a couple tips with this. I'm just going to close this out for now. Well, actually, before I do that, I can just click and drag slightly and it'll pop into its own window, which is helpful. Otherwise, if it's closed for the day or for a while, I can just Command Control on Windows, double click, and it'll also open to its own window. And when I open it into its own window, the sidebar is hidden, which I found with scripts, I don't really need the sidebar. It's up to you. If you're switching between multiple scripts, you might use the sidebar. If I right click in the script, I can choose Show Sidebar if I need to. And I like to look at it in a traditional kind of print format. So I go for the white background, personal preference, up to you. So now my script is looking like a script and I can differentiate it between with that and bins. You can also set up future settings so that when you bring in your script, it automatically looks like this. And that's going to be through settings. I'm just going to hit Shift Command equal, Shift Control equals on Windows, and you go to User, and then I'm going to hit S for script. There it is. And you can set up some settings here, like the line numbers. If I don't want to see those, I can. I'm using those for reference today. But you have different settings that you'll probably want to take a look at for yourself. While I'm here, I'm going to be using a script mark feature. To save time, I'm going to go ahead and show you that I mapped that to my keyboard. So I'm going to open up my keyboard setting. When I talk about F8, this is not a default mapping. That's going to add the script mark. You can see if I hover, there's my tooltip, add script mark. And you'll want to map that to your keyboard, whether or not you have ScriptSync or not. And I just opened up my command palette, Command 3. I know I'm giving you guys all the keyboard shortcuts, but this is an intermediate advanced session. So Command 3 gets you to your command palette, other, and then here's your add script mark. Okay, so you just want to at least map that to your keyboard and then you're set. There's lots of features. I'm going for the quick, easy, efficient workflow here today for you guys. All right, so there we go. So I've got all my settings and everything set up. Next power tip is setting up your bins. I'm going to open up scene 4 here, which I'm going to be working with. So you definitely have to bring in your clips. You import them, link them like you normally do. If it's from dual record, separate audio, video, get those linked up because you're going to need that audio to align things with your script. So you want to do all that set. I actually have a working bin now because all my dailies are elsewhere. So this is the material for this particular scene. And then you want to assign takes, okay? And you want to do this before you put it in the script. It's just a lot easier. So I have done that for these, and it's just a column. If I right click, choose columns, it's in that list. Okay, so I called up the take column and you can see the labeling for these. The name is the shot, which is a custom column actually. And then the second value is the take. So these are all done, but these last two. So I'm gonna go ahead and this is take 1. So I'm gonna type 1 and then I'm gonna go to my next column and that's take 2. So I'm gonna added 2. So now I've got my takes that'll show up. That'll help keep you organized. Alongside that, you can change your representative frame in the script. You're better off doing it before. So you can do the classic click on the thumbnail in the bin and maybe hit your L key till you find it. Okay. So I've just changed this away from that slate. An even easier way to do it is to just load the clip into your source monitor and find your in mark. So maybe for this one, I'll go just so they look a little different. She's sitting down here, maybe when she's walking to differentiate this. I'm just going to mark it in, hit I on my keyboard. And then I'm just going to go back to the thumbnail and hit Q. Okay, because Q is the keyboard shortcut for go to in. So you can quickly just scrub to a better frame without having to use jog keys or JKL to change the thumbnail. These will be the representative frames in the script as opposed to the slate. Okay, Now the script does work a lot like a bin, so you can do it in the script. I've just found way easier. So that's the setup, regardless if you have ScriptSync. Notice I haven't even done anything with ScriptSync yet. If you have it or not, you need to do this setup. Okay, now we're going to assign to the script. Okay, it also helps to be on a dual monitor system if you can, and also on a non-zoom resolution. So my interface right now is not very spacious. So I am going to be doing some scrambling around. Normally, I won't be doing so much scrambling around. So I just want to give you a heads up on that. Also, feature's been around for a while. I'm on 2020.12 right now. And if you're on earlier versions, it's been around for quite a while. I think the first iteration was in like 1996 or something. So you can go way vintage along with your script formatting. Okay, so where do I want this to start? I'm just gonna have this start where she starts getting up, maybe in that action. So you highlight that in the script, and then I'm gonna go to this where I want it to end. So I'm setting my range, okay? Now this happens to be a narrative. You can do the same thing with an interview, and you're gonna find in a minute that you really want this to be as accurate as possible. So I've basically essentially highlighted the portion of the script that I'm gonna be using for this, okay? All right, and then I'm gonna select my shot and drag it over. Okay, and it'll appear. It's a little slow because I'm on Zoom right now. So there we go. Now I have the exact same scene twice. I could take scene 3-3 and just drag it into the script, but you're gonna find very, very quickly that this will take up a lot of real estate space. So you're not gonna wanna do that. So I'm just gonna click this thumbnail and I'm gonna hit the delete key on my keyboard, backspace on window. When you're in script formatting, it's called slate instead of like represented frames or clips. So slate is the actual clip. All right, so then I'm gonna drag this on top of the one that's there. Notice the number 2 and the 3, those are there because of the take numbers. And there you go. And then you'll see these lines. This is based on a line script. So if you look up what a script supervisor does, they tend to draw vertical lines on their scripts and then make notes. We're just kind of flagging the lines we're going to end up using. So this follows that trend. And at the top and at the bottom of this range is a separate little line, and that's the script range. So the coverage, okay, that we're worried about. Now, I can leave it like this, but I happen to know, because I've used this footage before, that this first clip ends where the dentist says, I know visiting the dentist has got to be frightening. So I can actually hold down my command key on the Mac, control on Windows, and move this up and down. So if you don't get it exactly right, generally it's not a big deal, especially if you're using ScriptSync, but you can fix it. Over coverage is fine. Like I can leave this right where it was. Under coverage is obviously going to be a problem because it's going to end. So if I needed it to go to O in the script, that's going to be a problem because I have not covered that part. So there we go. Okay, now the other section that I want to cover, another part, because I want to be able to show you guys that ad-libbing matters. All right, so I'm just selecting this range. The first part, there's a lot of ad-libbing. This section doesn't have a lot of ad-libbing. And again, I'm scrolling a lot because of my monitor resolution. But I'm gonna go ahead and grab 4-3, 4-4. You can add multiple takes at the same time. Click and drag, and there we go. Okay, so we're all set up. All set up, regardless if you have ScriptSync option, identical. Here's where we deviate, okay? I'm going to go ahead and use the ScriptSync option, and then I'm going to show you guys the workaround. And I'm going to use it a couple times, one on an ad lib section, so you can see how that might play out, and then on a not as ad lib section. So on this 3-2, all I have to do is click the take. So this is key. I don't get to use this feature every day. So the one thing I always have to get back into the habit of clicking the takes, not just the thumbnails, okay? And you'll see me make this error because every time I use this, because I don't use this as often as I could, or actually would like, I have to reacquaint myself with what to click. So if you are doing a job where you do this, you want to play with it beforehand, just get this all ironed into your subconscious. So now I'm going to go to script menu, and there's ScriptSync. If you're not seeing ScriptSync, it's grayed out. Either you don't have it, or you didn't click your take. Okay, that's the key every time. Okay. All right, so I'm going to choose ScriptSync. And so this has 5 tracks. So maybe the clean audio is A1 and 2. I could select those. This has the same exact audio on all 5 tracks. I'm just going to select all of them. Okay. The audio doesn't have to be perfect. Obviously, the cleaner, the better. What matters is the words that are said that you're going to see in a moment. If you want to skip things like capital letters, so action, that kind of thing, things with brackets or parentheses like parentheticals and that kind of thing in the script. If you're doing a transcript, oftentimes it's interviewer, colon, you don't want that. You can skip that. So you pick the parts of the script, the information that you want to skip because you want the dialogue. If you've already done this and it didn't work out so great, maybe there was too much ad-libbing and you need to adjust your script, you can redo it and overwrite and that kind of thing. So I'm going to click OK to that. And it's going to go ahead and process and done. So notice I have these tick marks on here. So there's the beginning of my coverage. And now here's this. Okay. And so I'm going to go ahead and double click this mark. And it takes me roughly to that spot. Now it's a little off on this particular script. Let me just go on this mark here.
Sorry.
You're not running out on me, are you?
Okay. So we have that set up, and I do need to do something real fast here. Zoom likes to make my audio so loud I can't handle it, and my ears are going to thank me for doing that in a moment. So thanks for your patience. Okay, so then when I double click on these and play back.
Me, are you?
No.
Okay, now notice it skips stuff, and here's the reason.
It was just
Looks like someone's keeping the tooth fairy busy.
Okay, so he says, oh, it's fine. It happens all the time. That's not even in this take. That's why there's not a mark on this. The well looks like someone's keeping the tooth fairy busy. It's a quick line, and he starts off with and says something ad-libby. So sometimes you're going to have to add manual marks, which is why I set up my keyboard. So I'm going to just back up just a little bit. I'm in my source monitor here. Okay. I have my take active, which it's hard to see, but if I go to script, let me do this a second. If I go to script, I can have it hold slate on screen. And you won't always have to do this, just in my monitor resolution, I have to. But now I have I can easily click my take, click this line, okay? And then I'm going to hit F8 on my keyboard where I mapped it. And now I have a script mark for that. Okay. So then if I go back and play now, double click this, play.
Looks like someone's keeping the tooth fairy busy.
Okay. So she's about to say, you could say that. So I'm going to click this line, and then I'm going to hit F8. Oops, make sure I select my take. Remember what I was saying before, F8 and that kind of thing. This is manual adding, which you can do from the beginning of a script. As you can see, it's a little tedious. It's good for ad-libbing to get material into your script. So if I now double click this script point and play.
Looks like someone's keeping the tooth fairy busy.
Okay, and then I double click this point and play.
yes, you could say that.
Okay, you can see that she started her line. Yes, you can say that. If she consistently says it that way, there is an edit button where I can click edit and I can start typing that in. Okay, so you can adjust the script and it works out pretty well. You want to do that and then redo your ScriptSync. Okay, now if you're thinking, gee, I don't want ScriptSync, let's take a look at a scene, a moment where they don't really ad lib. So I'm going to go to this 4-3, which the lines took the coverage is later. It's earlier here. Okay, so on this, I'm going to select my take, go to script, and ScriptSync again. Okay, same idea. This only has one track, so one track shows up. So you set that up, and there we go. So this started a little bit earlier. So with the shall we? Okay, so if I double click that mark,
Look, Mary, I know.
okay, that it was past where it started. Let's go here.
Look, Mary.
Okay, and then if we need to go to the line, like let's say, but I assure you, we're not monsters.
But I assure you, we're no monsters.
Okay, so at least because he started correctly, it's not going to misinterpret it when it says not monsters instead of no. Okay, and then we have the introductions here.
Mary Sue.
Hi.
Okay, and then if I go later, you'll see there's a lot more scripts because there's a lot less ad-libbing.
Sure, your teeth feel fine now, but
Okay, so that's all corresponding with those lines. So there's a lot of ad-libbing in this scene. ScriptSync will pick up some of it. So the key with that is your script or transcript. The more accurate it is, the more you're done, and you can quickly get these done. Okay, so you're all set to edit. So if I'm editing my scene, I can go back to the top here, where we run into this section or earlier. And now let me just get my script out of the way. I've got an in mark and I'm ready to.
Sorry.
you're not running out on me, are you?
No.
Okay, so if that's what I needed, I can mark my in and out and start my sequence. Okay. Okay. Now, what if you don't have ScriptSync? You are not going to want to have to line up lines constantly and click it manually and keep clicking the slate. So there is what I call a semi-automated method for doing this. And if there's a lot of ad libs and you can't adjust the script, this may be the better method as well. So my final example here is how to set it up without ScriptSync as an option. So I'm going to use this take, and I just loaded it. Now notice when I load it, it automatically puts my playhead at the first frame. You're going to have to deal with that. The scene doesn't start for another 30 seconds. If you can, if you're not, depending on your collaborative environment, go ahead and make sub clips of these and start later, because this is when I get started, no matter where I'm at, it's going to start at the beginning. Okay, so that's one caveat. So the setup is I click my take, and then there's a record button. There's a play button too that just plays back the shot that's in the source monitor. So then I click my record button, which I'm going to go ahead and do because it takes a minute to get into this. And you'll notice that this is green, and the green indicates, okay, this is what's highlighted. This is what I'm about to do. And you have to wait for all the setup and that kind of thing to go by. It has to play in real time. There's no JKL on this. It's pretty basic, which is why I would want to ideally subclip this. But at least, and I stopped recording, so it's going to go back to the beginning. But the good news is I have another scene here that I didn't mean to stop the playback. Okay, but let's do it on this one. So I'm on scene 4 here, and I'm going to play. Okay, same idea. Okay, it's green. Sure. We're all good. So now I'm just going to wait for the lines and just click the lines in the script. And she's walking back. I know we can't see, but she is.
Look, Mary, I know visiting the dentist has got to be frightening.
Notice the marks.
But I assure you, we're not monsters.
Added a mark for that one. Who's going to come in?
Oh.
That's her line.
Sue, this is Mary. Mary.
And then I'm going to space bar. Okay. Now the other one I didn't want to go back through because we're running out of time. But yeah, if you stop it, it has to go back through. But on this one, I did not stop it middle. So now I have all these script marks. And then when I double click and play, and it's loading into the source monitor, I'm just a little concealed here.
Mary, I know.
That was a little off. Okay. And then if I go to this line.
But I assure you, we're not monsters.
Okay. So then the last one was when he's like, Sue, Mary Sue.
Sue, this is Mary. Mary Sue.
Hi.
Okay. So it helps to be a little bit acquainted with the footage and that kind of thing. So if you don't have ScriptSync, you select your take, you hit record, you wait, and you just physically click the lines. Okay. And then just to show when you're all done, I have a different script here. Oh, I meant to hit Command, double click. Let me just close this one out. Command, Control on Windows, double click. Let's make this a white background because these pre-exist. So that setting I changed. It doesn't matter until I bring in my next script. Here's, it's just a few takes, but you can see it can get pretty complex fast. So things you want to do is maybe colorize. So if you have color coding, you can set that up. So I'm just going to use this quickly as an example. So we have this section here where the dentist is talking. In the thumbnail, hopefully you can see that he's off screen. I'm going to click the take, and then there's a button at the top with a squiggly, and this is meant when they're off screen. Okay, so I click that, and you can see for that section of lines, there's a squiggly there now. So if you color code things, so maybe Mary's lines are going to be a color. So I'm going to right click, let's make her cyan, something like that. Click this, and I can make it cyan. So there's color coding like in Final Draft. People have their physical scripts, and there's going to be color tabs and highlights everywhere on different lines or transcripted information. You can absolutely do that. The trick with all of that is select the lines, click the take, then select the button. Okay, and if you made the wrong color or something like that, you can click it again to turn it off. So it becomes a toggle. So yeah, so there's a lot of features. Just play with it, get used to it. And if you're going to be doing it a lot, it becomes a fairly straightforward process. It's just learning where to click like anything else in Media Composer. So with that, I will take questions.
All right. We do have a few that have popped in here really quick. And if you do have a question, go ahead and enter it, and we'll try to get those over to Marianne to ask as well. One question, I've noticed that the take numbers don't always show up on the script when bringing grouped clips into the script. Is there a way to make sure the take info is always visible?
Okay. So I haven't done grouped clips. And by grouped clips, I'm assuming they're multicam. So with multicam in the group, you make sure that I would say, my guess is that you want to make sure that the take is on every single clip, because I'm not even sure how that would be accepted in here. I'm assuming whatever the first clip in the group is what shows up here. But if your take number isn't showing up in with regular clips, just double check that take number. Make sure that you are calling up take, and it's the pre-built column, not one that you create. So if I go down here, it's a pre-set column, not a custom column, like my shot column, because that's below the line. So try that, but it's really designed for individual clips that you manually group together like I did. Hopefully that answers that.
All right, next question. Do you usually separate your script sync out by scene bins, or do you use one master script file?
Yeah, I work in short form classically, so long form overwhelms me quickly. And to get over that overwhelm, I break things down as small as possible. So scenes for sure. I can't imagine trying to work with an entire script. And then if you have a long interview, you know, like podcasts these days are longer, and interviews can be long, I'd break those down too, if I can. So this is only like a 2-minute scene, and that's plenty for this situation. So break it down if you can.
All right, are you able to import the text from a PDF?
No. You will need to convert the PDF to like Word, and then make it a text document. And that's got to be plain text. Vintage, go DOS.
I like how you use that vintage word. All right, let's see if we have any other questions coming in. Everything's looking good so far. We have several shout outs to you, Marianne, for doing more Avid Media Composer sessions. They're loving you, so that's great.
Excellent, thanks.
Well, go ahead and get the screen up for your next session. So let me go ahead and take control here, and
Sure.
we will display the screen for the next sessions Marianne is going to be doing. All right, hopefully you all are seeing my screen. Here we go. So March 18th, we're covering advanced editing tips with Marianne. We do have a Pro Tools effects series coming up, and that's with Andy Hagerman. In between those sessions, we'll have more sessions with Marianne as well. So look to avid.com online learning webinars for the schedule in which to register, or keep following us on the social media, and we'll be posting those as they come around. And always remember, if you do have topics you'd like to see us cover, whether it's Media Composer, Pro Tools, or something else Avid, drop us a note at liveonlinelearning@avid.com, and we'll be happy to get those sessions scheduled. So with that, Marianne, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I missed you the last few weeks, and I'm looking forward to next week's session.
Thanks, bye.
All right, thanks everyone. Have a good one.